All right, get ready because today we're diving headfirst into Neuralink.
Yeah, this is a big one.
It is, connecting brains to computers. It sounds like something ripped straight out of science fiction.
It really does.
But the thing is, it's not fiction anymore. People are actually trying this technology out, and we've got a ton of blog posts and videos all about their prime study.
Oh, I'm ready to unpack this.
Me too. So today, we're going to break down the tech, learn about what these early users are actually experiencing, and maybe even try to wrap our heads around what this could mean for the future.
Sounds like a plan. And Neuralink is aiming for this totally seamless link between our brains and, well, the digital world. They're even starting with a product called telepathy.
Telepathy, seriously, that's what they're calling it.
Yep.
Okay, gotta admit, that's a pretty cool name, but what does it actually do?
So imagine people with paralysis controlling their devices just using their thoughts,
Hmm,
like typing, browsing the internet, even talking to people, all without moving a muscle.
wow, that's incredible. Especially for people who've lost the ability to move or speak. Kind of makes you think about Stephen Hawking. This tech could totally revolutionize accessibility.
Absolutely. And Neuralink isn't stopping there. Their big goal is to create this high bandwidth connection between our brains and the digital world, basically a two-way flow of information.
Okay, hold on. High bandwidth connection. In plain English, what does that even mean?
So think of it like this. Most brain computer interfaces use just a handful of electrodes. It's like trying to listen to a whole orchestra with only a few microphones. But Neuralink's implant, it's packing over 1,000 electrodes, each thinner than a human hair.
Whoa.
Yeah. So it allows for way more detailed communication with the brain, like upgrading from dial-up to fiber optic internet.
Got it. Okay, that makes sense. But how do they even get these teeny tiny electrodes into someone's brain? I mean, that sounds intense.
It is. They actually have this super precise surgical robot, the R1, specifically designed for the job. It implants those threads, minimizing any damage to the brain.
That's wild. And where's this implant go? Is it like some big thing sticking out of your head?
Nope,
Yeah.
completely invisible. It goes under the scalp and charges wirelessly, kind of like your phone.
Okay, that's pretty slick. So we've got an invisible implant, mind reading tech. This is starting to sound less like sci fi and more like reality every minute. But how does it actually work out in the real world? Tell me about the first people in this prime study, Nolan and Alex.
These guys are pioneers. Nolan, their very first participant, has a spinal cord injury. He was already using assistive tech, but nothing like this. There's this amazing quote from him about moving the cursor with his mind and having his mind blown for a whole day. I think that really captures how incredible this experience is.
Totally. What about Alex? What's his story?
Alex is using the implant to relearn skills he lost because of his injury. He's focusing on things like CAD software and video games with the goal of getting back to work as an automotive technician.
It's amazing how they're both pushing the boundaries of what's possible. But let's get down to it. How well are they actually doing?
Okay, get this. On their very first day using the link, both Nolan and Alex shattered previous world records for BCI cursor control. Speed and accuracy measured in bits per second, or BPS.
No way. They're already breaking records, and I heard they're doing all this with only a fraction of the electrodes actually working.
Exactly.
Okay, I am officially on the edge of my seat. They're exceeding expectations in the lab, but what about life outside the lab? Are they just doing tests all day, or is this tech actually making a difference in their lives?
That's the exciting part. Nolan's using the link for all sorts of things in his everyday life, playing games online, browsing the internet, even playing Mario Kart on a Nintendo Switch.
Mario Kart. No way. That's insane.
And he's not just messing around. His weekly usage peaked at 69 hours. That's almost like a full-time job.
That's just mind boggling. But what really hits home is that this is giving people with severe disabilities a level of freedom and independence we could barely imagine before.
It really is. He even talked about how it helped him reconnect with the world and his family, giving him the ability to do things on his own without needing help all the time.
That's powerful stuff. It's not just about the technology itself, it's about the human impact.
Couldn't agree more. And this is really just the beginning. Neuralink is constantly working to make the tech better, tackling the challenges and unlocking new possibilities.
Speaking of challenges, I'm curious about some of the hurdles they're facing. We've heard about things like thread retraction and the need for upgrades. What's the deal with that?
Sure. So thread retraction is basically when some of the implanted threads move a bit over time. Neuralink's working on refining the surgery to minimize that, and they've made good progress. And as for upgrades, well, think of it like your smartphone. Technology's always evolving, right?
Right, right. We wouldn't want to be stuck with the very first iPhone forever.
Exactly. Neuralink's already working on future versions of the link with even more electrodes and capabilities.
That blows my mind. But hold on, before we get too ahead of ourselves, I think it's important to take a step back and look at the bigger picture. This tech has the potential to be revolutionary, but it also raises some serious questions.
Oh, absolutely. Questions about ethics, privacy, even what it means to be human. It's true. It's incredible tech, but we definitely can't ignore the potential downsides. And it's better to have these conversations now, while it's still early.
Absolutely. So let's talk ethics. The first thing that pops into my mind is privacy. If our thoughts aren't private anymore, what happens to our freedom, our security?
It's a big concern, and Neuralink knows it. They've said a lot about protecting user privacy and data security, but it's a tough challenge. I
Yeah.
mean, think about it. As the tech gets more advanced, the data they collect gets more sensitive. We're not talking about simple cursor movements anymore. We're talking thoughts, emotions, maybe even memories.
That is a little unsettling, not gonna lie. It feels like we're stepping into uncharted territory.
We are. That's why it's so important to talk about it now. We need to figure out clear ethical guidelines, strong security, and laws to protect people's privacy.
Absolutely. This tech should empower people, not exploit them. But okay, let's move past privacy for a sec. What about misuse? Could someone use this tech for bad stuff, like hacking or, I don't know, controlling someone's thoughts?
It's a scary thought, but it's a real risk. Any powerful technology can be used for good or bad. Cybersecurity is going to be huge in this field. Neuralink and other companies are putting a lot of effort into security measures to prevent unauthorized access and protect that user data.
It's like a constant arms race then between the people developing it and the people trying to exploit it.
Exactly. And the stakes are huge.
Yeah.
Imagine controlling someone's thoughts and actions. We've never had to deal with that level of power before.
Okay, let's take a deep breath and switch gears for a minute. Let's talk about something a little more positive. Neuralink could help us unlock the secrets of the brain itself. It's not just about controlling devices, it's a tool to understand how our brains work. Right.
Right. The data Neuralink can collect from the brain is like nothing we've ever seen before. It's like having a window into the brain. We can watch brain activity in real time, see how different parts of the brain communicate.
So we're finally figuring out how to decipher the language of the brain.
Exactly. And this knowledge could revolutionize how we understand consciousness, learning, memory, you name it.
And this could lead to breakthroughs in treating neurological disorders, right?
Oh, for sure. Imagine pinpointing the exact neural pathways involved in Parkinson's or Alzheimer's. We could develop treatments that target the root cause of these diseases, not just the symptoms.
So going from treating symptoms to actually curing diseases.
Exactly. And that's just the beginning. Imagine new treatments for depression, anxiety, PTSD, even autism. The possibilities are huge.
It's mind-blowing to think about how this could improve people's lives. But let's not forget the ethical questions. We talked about privacy and security, but what about social inequality? If only rich people can afford this, won't it create a divide between the enhanced and everyone else?
It's a valid concern, and we need to be proactive. We need to make sure this technology is available to everyone, regardless of how much money they have.
I like that. Accessible to everyone. It shouldn't be a luxury for the wealthy.
Right. It's about social justice. We need to make sure this tech benefits all of humanity, not just a select few.
Okay, let's change gears again. Let's talk about enhancing our abilities. Could Neuralink make us smarter, more creative?
There's been a lot of debate about that. If we can connect directly to the brain, access information faster, learn new skills quickly, even boost our memory, the possibilities are incredible.
Imagine downloading knowledge straight into your brain or learning a new language overnight. That would be wild.
It sounds like science fiction, but it might not be impossible.
Yeah.
But that's where things get ethically complicated. If we can enhance our brains, how do we do it responsibly?
Right. We don't want to end up in a world where some people are artificially advanced and others are less behind.
Exactly. It raises questions about fairness, about equality, even about what it means to be human.
This is heavy stuff. We're talking about potentially changing society as we know it.
We are. These are not easy questions to answer, but we need to be thinking about them now as we enter this new world of brain-computer interfaces.
So where do we go from here? How do we navigate all of this and make sure this tech is used for good?
I think acknowledging that we don't have all the answers is a good start. This is new territory, and we're all learning as we go.
I like that. Being humble is important. We may not have the answers, but at least we're asking the right questions.
Exactly. We need open and honest discussions about the potential benefits and risks. We need ethicists, philosophers, policymakers, even the public to work together and understand the ethical implications.
And we need to be proactive, not reactive. We can't wait for problems to happen before we do something.
Right. We need to anticipate the challenges and find solutions ahead of time. Clear guidelines and regulations are essential for this technology to be used responsibly.
And maybe the most important thing, remembering that technology is just a tool. It's up to us how we use it. We can use it to create a better future, or we can let it divide us and make inequality worse.
Well said. It really is up to us.
Okay, I'm feeling a little overwhelmed. We've covered so much: the science, the tech, the potential benefits, the ethics, and I feel like we've only just scratched the surface.
True. This is a deep dive in every sense of the word. But I think it's important to remember that even with all the complexity and uncertainty, there's also this sense of wonder and excitement.
You're right. It's like we're watching human evolution happen right in front of us.
Exactly. And while there are risks and challenges, there's also this incredible opportunity to improve millions of lives and push the limits of what humans can do.
So, where do we go from here? What are the next steps?
I think the next few years are crucial. We're going to see the technology advance rapidly, and the debates about ethics and its impact on society will continue.
So, buckle up, everyone. It's going to be a wild ride. But before we get too carried away with the future, let's come back to the present. We've talked a lot about Neuralink's potential, but what's the reality right now? Where are they in their development and clinical trials?
They're making great progress. The PRIME study is still going. They're gathering data and improving the tech. They even got FDA approval to add more people to the trials, which is huge.
So, things are moving forward. What's next for Neuralink? What are their short term and long term goals?
Well, right now they're focused on safety and making the link work even better. And they want to expand what it can do beyond cursor control and basic communication. They're looking at things like sensory feedback so people can feel through the implant, even restoring vision for people who are blind.
Wait, restoring vision? Seriously, how is that even possible?
It's still early, but the idea is to skip the damaged parts of the visual system and directly stimulate the visual cortex. They're basically creating artificial vision in the brain.
That is mind blowing. Sounds like science fiction.
It does, doesn't it? But sometimes science fiction becomes reality.
That's true. So, what about their long term goals? What's the ultimate vision?
They want to create this smooth connection between the human brain and the digital world. Information flowing back and forth so we can interact with technology in a way that feels natural.
So, almost like merging with technology, becoming one with the digital world.
Exactly. It's a bold vision, and it definitely raises some big questions about what it means to be human.
Okay, I hear a but coming. What are the potential downsides of merging with technology? What risks should we be thinking about?
It does, doesn't it? But it's also kind of scary, right? What if we lose our individuality? If tech starts controlling our thoughts and experiences, do we become more like machines ourselves?
It's a chilling thought. Like we're giving up our humanity for the sake of progress.
It's a real concern. But we have to remember that technology is a tool. It can be used for good or bad. It's up to us.
So it's not about rejecting tech, it's about using it wisely, making sure it benefits us.
Exactly. We need to be smart about how we integrate technology into our lives and make sure it serves our needs, not the other way around.
Right, that's a good point. It's easy to get swept up in the excitement and forget about the bigger picture.
It is. But it's important to talk about this stuff now before it's too late.
Totally agree. We have to be proactive. We need to shape the future we want, not let it shape us.
Well said. And I think that's a great place to wrap up this part of our deep dive.
Yeah, I think so too. We've covered a ton, but I feel like we've only just scratched the surface.
We have. This is a huge and complicated topic.
But it's been so fascinating. I can't wait to see what's next in the world of Neuralink and brain-computer interfaces.
Me too. There's definitely a lot more to discuss.
Okay, so let's shift gears a bit. We've talked a lot about the potential, but let's talk about Elon Musk for a second. He's the driving force behind Neuralink, right? What's his big vision for all of this?
Elon Musk.
Hmm.
He's definitely got big plans. He's always thinking about the future of humanity and how technology can solve our problems.
For sure. And Neuralink seems to fit right in with that. He's talked about it as a way to handle those existential threats, like the rise of super intelligent AI.
Right. Musk thinks that AI could become smarter than humans someday. He calls this the singularity. He sees Neuralink as a way to bridge that gap, to help humans keep up with AI, maybe even merge with it.
So it's not just about curing diseases or making us smarter, it's about making sure humanity can survive against a potentially superior intelligence.
That's a big part of it, for sure. But it's also about expanding what humans are capable of. Musk imagines a future where we can communicate telepathically with Neuralink, download knowledge instantly, and even experience reality in totally new ways.
Whoa, wait. Telepathy. Downloading knowledge. That's starting to sound like a sci-fi movie
I
again.
know, right? But Musk has a way of making sci-fi real. Look at what he did with SpaceX and Tesla. He's not afraid to push the limits.
I'll give him that. He is definitely not afraid to dream big. But let's be real for a minute. We've talked about the good stuff, but what about the risks? What could go wrong?
Well, like with any powerful tech, there's always the chance of misuse. We talked about privacy and security, but there's also the issue of social inequality. What if only rich people can get this? It could create a divide between those who are enhanced and those who aren't.
That's a scary thought. We need to be really careful about that.
Absolutely. We need to start talking about these things now while the technology is still developing. The ethics, the impact on society, the long-term consequences, all of it.
You're right. It's not just about the science and the tech, it's about the kind of future we want to build. Okay, let's step back from the big picture for a second and focus on what people can actually do right now. What can our listeners do to stay informed and engaged with all of this?
Good question. There's a lot of information out there. Check out Neuralink's website and their blog posts. There are articles and videos from reliable sources about science and technology, too.
So do your homework, stay curious, ask questions.
Exactly. This is something that will impact all of us, so we need to be informed and be part of the conversation.
Well said. This deep dive has been incredible. So much information and so much to think about. We've covered a ton, but it feels like we've only scratched the surface.
I know, right? This is just the beginning. The field of brain-computer interfaces is moving fast, and the next few years are going to be wild.
I'm definitely excited to see what happens next. But for now, I think it's time to wrap things up.
Yeah, I think so too. It's
Yeah.
been great exploring this with you.
Likewise. And to our listeners, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the world of Neuralink. We hope you learned something new and that it made you think about the amazing possibilities and the challenges that come with this incredible new technology. Thanks for tuning in, and until next time, keep those brains firing.